considered as fierce against the forces of oppression. I mean, it had a kind of Orwellian quality to it, and when you take
Oh, good.
those kinds of stances, you make enemies.
Yeah, yes, I do. And I often wonder, how thick the dossier is in the FBI and the CIA, because I bet it's quite thick. And I know from experience that occasionally, I'm talking about the USA now, particularly because I live in the USA, and so I have to have. I'm permanent. I'm sort of constantly reapplying for an O1 visa, which is my permit to work, my permit to stay, to be resident in the United States. And the last time I went to get it renewed was in the American Embassy in London a few years ago. And I had somebody else who was with me. I probably shouldn't be telling you this, but frankly, I couldn't give a damn, And he's a guy who works for me, and he's worked for me for many years. So I have an O1 visa, which is visas they give to people who are unique in some way. Nobody can do what I do because I'm me, and only I have my body of work. And it applies to actors and musicians and all kinds of people. And then people who work for people like me get O2 visas, which are attached, if you like, to that. Well, we went in together. Chubba, my friend Chubba, who's worked for me for 20 years. And I was 591 and he was 592 on the list, right? So suddenly he got called in, 592, and they gave him his O2 visa, and he was done. And I sat there for another 2.5 hours, even though I was the number before him. So I thought, oh my goodness, they're in a room having a meeting, trying
Right.
to decide whether to let me back into the United States or not. And they did, and I'm happy that they did. But who knows next time? It's very difficult to know which way they're going to jump. And they must do the sums about, is this to our advantage or not? And you have to believe that the neocons, the powers that be, who run the United States and completely control all the politicians and the government, and we know that's just a charade. There's really no difference between any of the politicians because as we know, government can be purchased in the United States. That's what Citizens United is, which is only about 10 years old as far as I remember. But you can purchase the election, which is weird that they would call themselves a democracy and yet government is for sale to the highest bidder. So, um, what am I trying to say? I don't know. I've sort of run off the rails
Well,
slightly.
but it's important. So I spoke in Florence. It was at the time a communist government. They invited me to speak to all graduating high school students. There were 10,000 of them in an auditorium. And when I came back to Newark, the same experience. I'm a U.S. citizen with a valid U.S. passport. They put me in a room for 2 hours, told me nothing, and then a supervisor came in to somebody behind the computer screen and said, "He's on a watch. Tell him he can go." And I think that what they did to me is exactly what they did to you. It was intentional, just to let you know that they are watching you.